Hi, I am Bharatwaj. I am an aspiring VR developer pursuing Udacity VR Nanodegree.
This video is a short demo of the maze that I created for this course. Requirements are that the player should travel through the maze, collect the key and open the door. There should also be optional collectibles scattered throughout the maze. The maze should engage the player around a minute. Apart from the given requirements, I decided to take this a step further by randomizing all the game objects in the maze, although it was not mandatory to do so. The first step was building a random maze. This was done using depth first search algorithm. DFS algorithm comprises of 4 steps. First step is creating a grid based on required dimensions. Next step, numbering each cell of the grid and the walls associated with the cells. Third step is identifying the neighbor cells. Finally, we destroy the walls to form a perfect maze. The dimensions of the grid are controlled by the script and can be varied at any point of the time. Now the maze stands completed. Moving on to the next game objects, the door and the player. The door and the player were placed randomly so that they always have the maximum distance and do not end up close by each other. This was dealt inside of the DFS logic by placing player in the first cell and the door in the deepest node of the logic. The key and collectibles were placed randomly around the maze, which was quite straightforward. Logic to unlock the door only when the key was picked was then added. The logic to increase the collectible score was also added. All of these steps were tested using the prototype maze before moving to the final build. After the tests were successful, the entire logic was then shifted to custom assets. Now that the basic requirements are covered, time to spice things up. Enemies of roamer type were added in the maze that will reset the player's position on collision. The enemy also has a spatial audio that will help the player to assess the distance. This makes the game more interesting. The AI enemy uses the Unity inbuilt navigation system. The player can travel through the maze by using the waypoint or by autowalk. Waypoint teleports the player to the clicked location, and autowalk will enable the player to move freely around the maze. Players can choose their own comfortable option. The build was completed after all the previously mentioned steps were integrated and the identified bugs in the games were corrected. As a final touch, the door animation, completion UI and ambient audio were added to the maze. The door animation would work only when the player has the key. The UI would inform the player of the key information and the score, and ambient audio would be randomized among the 5 audio tracks that were added in the maze. On completion of the game, the player would move on to a bigger maze and with more enemies. Here is the final outcome of my first VR game. This project took about 25 to 30 hours apart from the 8 hours of research. It was an awesome and a complete experience. I have provided some useful reference links in the description of this video. Hope you enjoyed this video and see you next time.